First of all, I want to welcome all of you here today. It's really exciting to see so many people interested in how to raise the most produce possible in a raised bed. We want to give a thank you. Is Miss Rosalind in here? Little stinker? Yeah, just tell her we've gotten started. We want to thank Payne Avenue Missionary Baptist Church for allowing us to use this facility, and in particular, the lady of the hour, Miss Rosalind, and incredibly supportive and tolerant of our multiple questions and multiple visits. Our other thank you goes to, all right, Chris, Caesar, I'm going to get this done. Knox County Community Gardens and Growers Alliance. There is no anagram for that. As you know, they're building these community gardens, one of which is here at Payne Avenue. And we want to thank them for reaching out to Knox County Master Gardeners and asking us to come and present this class today. We also owe a little thanks, or a big thanks, to Lowe's, who donated the blue buckets, the 5-gallon blue buckets in the back, that, you know, you will be welcome to take one if you can find it useful. Blue buckets have a lot of uses. Rachel's holding up one there in the back. You can use it as a seat. You can use it to carry your harvest. You can use it to carry your tools. You can use it to carry debris. There's a lot of uses for that 5-gallon bucket. And then Mayo Garden Center donated the thinning shears, these small shears that are over here on the raffle table. So we want to thank Mayo's for that. Whoa! What did I do, Miss Marcia? My finger went somewhere it shouldn't go. My husband has always said, my karma around technology is not a good vibe. No. So Alice and I are challenged. Thank goodness we were not born in a later generation. So who are the Knox County Master Gardeners? A little history. In the state of Washington, a county agent realized that he needed more help reaching out to the community to achieve their mission and their vision. And so the idea came to him to educate citizens to help them reach out into the community and do the education. And he developed the first Master Gardener program. Then that program spread across the country. In Knox County, 1985, the Knox County Master Gardeners were formed. We work with our county extension agent, who could not be here today. His name is Ryland Thompson, because he's a brand new daddy and he's on paternity leave. He's a wonderful guy to work with. And as you can see in our mission statement, this is just a mission statement in a nutshell: to educate and serve the community using research-based information, which ties into our vision statement, which brings us here today. And sometimes I think, and I speak for myself, I get hung up on the word master. After 5 years, I took training in 2018. After 5 years, I have mastered one thing: asking questions. Gardening is always changing, just like everything. There's always new science. There's always new research. And the asking questions to try to stay on top of all that is new. And so what I've learned is when to ask questions, when to question the validity of something that I've heard or read. And now I know how to research the validity of that question. What are good sources? Does that source, just because it was written in, done in the Northwest, is that going to apply to me in the Southeast? You know, is it a source that can be trusted? So we never master gardening. You know, for example, there's a reason to say they practice medicine, which is kind of scary that they're practicing at medicine, but you can't master something that you don't have total control over, okay? If you're interested in becoming a master gardener, here's my pitch. If you're interested in becoming a master gardener, we have a lot of master gardeners in this room. I wanted to introduce to you the members of the planning committee that could be here. Roseanne Smith in the back, current president. Corey Holmes, current vice president. Next to her is a classmate of mine, Lori Andrews. Lori loves youth horticulture, so if you have children that you want to get interested in gardening, Lori is your person. Vivian Williams, sitting here at the registration table. And then we have a couple who couldn't be here today, Lynn Carlson and Jeannie Smith. The other master gardeners that you see in the room are either presenters that you will meet during the presentation, or our volunteer helpers that you'll meet during your hands-on activities, okay? So there are a lot of master gardeners. If you have any questions, if you want to become a master gardener, we'll tell you all about it. Our goal today ties in our mission statement and our vision statement. We want to help you be as successful as possible to get the most produce out of that 4x8 raised bed as possible. Here are our objectives. I have a question for you all. How many of you, have any of you, contracted a bed out here at Payne Avenue? A couple of you are. Very impressive, beautiful beds. And we're going to be going out there toward the end of class, so please be proud. Show us which ones are yours, okay? How many of you are looking forward to being able to contract for a raised bed? Have you thought about it? Thought about it? Okay. So maybe today will help you, and looking at how successful they've been. Mother Nature has really been kind this year as well. Doesn't always work that way, but how many of you are new to gardening? All right, good. So please ask questions. You know, throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask questions. I would like for you to look at your folders for just a minute. There's a lot of information in that folder. You have a copy of the slides and lines provided so that you can take notes. But by having a copy of the slides, hopefully you won't have to take a lot of notes. And like I said, please feel free to ask questions throughout. We'll have some hands-on activity time. We'll have some breaks. You have handouts in there full of information. A couple of those we're going to be referring to throughout the presentation. And there are resources in there for you as well. If you've discovered the calendar with the little notes in the back, this is just a little way of helping you get started, keeping track of things that need to be done in your garden. I think most people would say we start off strong. I've got calendars at home that I go back and look at the last 4 years. By golly, January, February, March, April, I'm there. May, kind of peter out a little bit. But that's how you keep track of what needs to be done, what's working and what's not working. Because not everything is going to be a success. Any questions for me? Chris Battle, who I did not introduce, and Caesar Stair are representatives from Alliance, and Chris Battle is the one that you contacted to register for this class, and Chris is the point person for the community raised beds out here. And Chris would like to say a few words.
Good morning, welcome.
Oh.
You can hear me? She had the mic on, I couldn't hear her. She just wanted to get close to me, that's all. My name is Chris Battle, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Knox County Community Gardens and Growers Alliance. Caesar is my king, and I bow to him. But I also run Battlefield Farm. Back in 2018, we started a community garden at the church I was pastoring, Tabernacle Baptist Church. And that's when I realized and became more astute about food disparity in East Knoxville. The 37915 zip code does not have a grocery store. Think about that. There's no grocery store. Matter of fact, there's not even a fast food restaurant. Now there's not even a dollar store. So it's easier to get CBD than it is to get an apple. Okay? And I felt like we needed to do something to alleviate that. And so I reached out. We started our garden, Ms. Vivian and I, with some other groups, Seed, 5 Points Up. We started the Eastside Sunday Market so we could have with Nourish Knoxville, so we could have a farmer's market here in the community. We'll be going tomorrow from 1 to 4. We do invite you at the Hardy Park. And I also reached out to other pastors and friends who had empty lots to start doing community gardens. Payne Avenue has taken off. Amen, amen, amen. Okay. We have one at the corner of Brooks and Dandridge with the Stop and Shop now. Okay, a lot of our African refugees are there, as well as Bethel AME also has one. And so we're excited about doing this work. Our goal is for us to be able to, everybody to grow their own. If everybody could grow their own, we could literally eat for free. Think about that, you know, because you grow good tomatoes. You know, and Kristen here grows good okra, and Diana grows good rutabagas. I don't know who eats rutabagas, but anyway. and we share, we trade, you know, and because Miss Carolyn has the best okra, ain't nobody we're gonna watch out for her, right? You know, but that's how it is. It also creates community. So we're excited about this. We're excited to have you all here today. I want to thank the Master Gardeners for coming out. I used to be one, but they kicked me out. Okay, but anyway, I think it was Caesar's fault. But again, welcome. Learn all you can today, and enjoy this time together. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Give yourself an applause for being here on a Saturday morning. My name is Alice Green, and my gardening experience includes, I started in 2009 as a volunteer at the University of Tennessee Gardens off on Nayland Drive. How many have been to the University Gardens? Great. Okay, you need to go. It's free. It's open at all times. It's 5 miles from Payne Avenue, okay? I started at the University Gardens in 2009, and I became a Master Gardener in 2012. And at that time, I knew just enough to get in trouble. But as Kathy says, we learn all the time. It's an ever-evolving process. In 2014, I took a raised bed gardening course in which Mel Bartholomew was the speaker, and I built my own raised bed in 2014. So I've been doing raised beds for nearly 9 years now, and it's fun. It's all that it is to be, and I want to encourage you, all of you who have not started gardening, to do it, because we're going to show you today how simple and easy it is to grow your own food. What are some of the advantages of gardening? It's economical. It's more nutritious food. You just heard we have a food desert in this area code. 3, it's an activity that involves every member of your family, from the babies to the seniors. In fact, AARP has approved gardening as the #1 activity for seniors with their grandchildren. And you teach children how to grow food. My grandsons planted potatoes. You know, it took several months to go, so when I was replanting my bed, I found them. I washed them off, I packaged them, and I sent them to Washington, D.C. My son says, most grandparents send cakes and cookies, you send potatoes. Well, I wanted them to see what they had grown, so they'll know that food doesn't come from a grocery store. Okay? So you'll do yourself and your children and your grandchildren a big favor when you get them involved in gardening activities. Okay? And nothing tastes as good as a fresh grown tomato or okra or collard greens or any of that. Okay? All right. My role here today is to provide a general overview of what we're going to do today. And I encourage you to ask questions. You got all this expertise in this room, and even practical. Some of you may have some good advice for gardening, okay? All right, slide 1. I am technology challenged, so I'm gonna see how good I do with this. Okay, what can be planted this time of year? We're in the late summer, beginning early fall, and they're what we call warm season vegetables and cool season vegetables. What are some warm season vegetables? Tomatoes. Squash. Green beans. Okay, so what are some cool season vegetables? Collard greens, everybody knows that. And what else? Lettuce. So you can grow those year round. In fact, I planted collard greens in a big pot next to my patio. So all during the winter, I was out there clipping the outer corners and having fresh collards all winter long. Okay? So you can do that. It is simple as that. If you don't have a box, you can do it in a big pot. Okay? So all seeds and transplants need warmth and moisture to sprout. Repeat after me. All seeds and transplants need warmth and moisture to sprout. Every last one of them, okay? Whether it's cool or warm. Okay, remember that. That's going to be on your test. Okay, we chose two cool season vegetables today. One, we're going to do a seed with lettuce, and the other is a transplant of collards. Okay, and I noticed everybody knew collards was a cool season vegetable. Okay, right up into Thanksgiving and even through Christmas. Okay. In your folder is this calendar, which is really, really good. I need to give credit to the person who put that out on the internet, Homestead and Chill. They created this color-coded calendar for Zone 7. Zone 7 means we're one of the 13 zones that the United States Department of Agriculture has designed for it's called either a planting, a growing, or a hardiness zones based on average annual extreme minimum temperatures. I will give you the website so you can go out. Everybody have access to the internet? Okay, I'll give you the website because that's how I found it. And it's wonderful because it's color coded. So it's easy to understand within that parameter when you can plant seeds inside, when you can plant them outside, and when you can transplant the plant outside, okay? I like simple, I like easy, and I like colors. So I think it's really easy to do. So, but let me explain Zone 7. Zone 7 encompasses the whole state. And the way the USDA designed that was that because of temperatures, some things grow better in different zones. So remember, we're in zone 7. If anyone asks you, what zone do you're talking to a relative in Michigan or California or New Jersey, you'll ask, what's your zone? So they'll think you're really smart about gardening, okay? So we're in zone 7. Okay, I'm sorry that wasn't in there, but we'll get you the website so you can have access to that, okay? All right. So, look at this picture. What is the difference in traditional rows and raised bed? Anyone?
Way less area.
I can't hear you.
Way less area.
Way less area, number one. What's another one?
Control.
It's in a control area. Which one?
The box.
The raised bed, okay? Another difference. I can't hear you. It's easy to harvest. Now, if I'm going to talk loud, you have to too. I'm going to make you stand up and speak, okay? All right. It's easy to harvest. That's right. You're walking less area. Anything else? Water? What about water and fertilize? It's easy to water and fertilize. Do you use a lot of water or less water? Less water. Okay, anything else?
You control the soil in the bed.
You control your soil in the bed. And the soil in the bed is not being walked on, right? Okay? So, do you want to garden walking all over? Walking on the roots of the plants, compacting them? Or do you want to confine it to a certain area? Which means, this is the economical part. Everything is grown in a controlled space, like she said. You can grow different varieties in that same controlled space. You use less water because you're watering directly to the root system and not an overhead thing that's going to cost a lot of water. And we know water is very precious in some areas. And you can grow different things. This raised bed was Mel Bartholomew did a lot of research, and he started gardening. He started using this method all over. His book has sold over 2 million copies. It's now in its 3rd edition. And these are my copies, and you're free to peruse them when you have a chance. But this is not a new concept. I happened to be in the Smithsonian American Indian Museum a couple of summers ago. I was waiting on a conference call with Caesar Stair and Roseanne, and I went to the cafeteria and I looked on the wall and I saw this picture of like block gardening just like this, but only it wasn't wood, it was dirt. The Zuni Indians in the Southwest have been growing food like this for 1,000 years. They call it waffle gardening. Just like the waffle you eat, that's how it looked. They built up walls around squares of dirt. So that's the same concept, because you can narrow the focus of how you feed the plant and how you water it. And of course, in the Southwest, water is very precious, okay? So, waffle gardening, square foot gardening, same concept. Only the Zunis will get credit for it, okay? All right. Let's talk a little bit about this square foot gardening method. This is what the raised beds are. It's 12 inches by 12 inches. And you can plant something different in each one of those squares. Now, for most of you, I passed out this sheet. On the front is an example of a raised bed. On the back, it lists vegetables. Sue did not get a sheet. Does everyone get one? And the value to this sheet is what's on the back. It lists vegetables and it has a number beside it. And that number represents how many of those plants you can put in that square. Now, some plants, you can only put one in. Now, how many collard plants do you think you can get in a square?
728.
No. One. Because what? It grows really big. Okay? You can use several squares to plant your collards, but you can only put one in the 12-foot square. This is a tried and true method. I can't hear you. What's the question? Question?
You said 12 foot square.
I'm sorry, 12-inch. Right. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Square foot. Okay. 12-inch square. Thank you. Thank you. Good catch. So the value of that sheet is that you don't have to guess at it. It's right there for you. And some of them I tried to include every kind of vegetable that I knew, and there may be some that are not. So in that case, you would check with the Square Foot Gardening book, which is on the shelf in the Burlington Library as I speak, because I checked it this morning. Okay? So you use that when we do our hands-on activity about, the lettuce and everything else that you want to plant. Okay? So the advantages of using the Square Foot Gardening, where's my little thing, is it's easy to do. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes?
At the bottom it says squash. It has 1 B and 3 B. What is that?
Good catch. B means bush. It's a bush plant, which means it grows really big. B is vining, and we're going to cover that on trellis in a few slides. Very good catch. Thank you. Bush. B is for bush. What's a bush plant? Beans. What's a vining plant? Watermelon. Cucumbers. Zucchini. Strawberries. Okay? Good catch. So, Square Foot Gardening makes it easy to do, practically no work. Who likes no work? No tilling, no digging in the soil with the shovel. That's hard work. I have a friend that I met gardening several years ago, and he just loved that rototiller. And I said, do you know you're destroying your soil? I said, it's an expensive piece of equipment. What about the no-till method? No, he had to do that rototiller. I think it's a man thing. I'm not going to be biased, but I just think men like equipment. Okay? And I just said, you're just working way too hard. So I finally convinced him by getting him enrolled in a Master Gardener class where he had to hear it from an expert that you don't need to till it anymore. So it's easy, it's no tilling, cheaper, and fewer tools. Do you know how much a rototiller costs? Yeah. How much? Over $1,000. Okay, versus a trowel or a shovel if you have to. Okay? So you have cheaper tools and fewer tools to use. You can plant a variety and a higher yield crops in these squares in your Square Foot Gardening in a smaller space. Some of us don't have, an acre or a third of an acre to plant, but you can get more out of that square foot. Okay? Less weeding. Who likes to weed? Nobody. It uses less water. Told you, you apply the water at the site of the root. So you're feeding just the root and not everything, the leaves and all. In fact, in some cases, when you have water on leaves, it may cause fungi and stuff to grow. In the spring, the soil warms up quicker that you can start your crops quicker in a raised bed. You can garden all year long. There are certain things that you can cover the plants when it's really cold, and you can still growing those collard greens all year long. You get the best drainage because your roots won't rot, and you're not walking on the roots when you're walking on those row gardens, those row plantings, and you're compressing the roots, which cause the plants not to do what? Not to grow. okay? Okay, so we're going to start prepping. We always have a plan. You have your notes, and I've got notes at home that has dirt all over because I took it out there with me when I first started, just to be sure I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. So you always keep notes of when you planted, what day it was, because you're going to go back to that the next year and say, okay, when did I plant this? When did this work really well? So you always prep. You keep your notes, you check things, and you get the bed ready, and you be sure there are no clods. You know, you break it up, you want it nice and smooth. So this is how you begin your bed. The raised bed, these are my bed. Once you get your soil ready, and those beds out there are beautiful. I came a couple of weeks ago to look at them. They've already been planted and placed, and the soil has been added. So once you get the soil in them, then you put your grid in them, which we're going to go through later on as a hands-on activity. I had a stone bed, so I couldn't nail my twine in, although I did start with orange twine from Home Depot that I had recycled. But the problem was I couldn't get the stick to stay still in my bed, so I had some old mini Venetian blinds in my garage, so I cut them and stapled them together to make my squares. So it was obviously I could see them. Okay, you see the square? And I put different things in that whole bed. And my bed was like 8 by 4, but I curved it because I didn't have anything to cut the block with. So I just curved it around. So on the curved part on the ends, I put flowers, marigolds. Okay? Questions?
I want to know what you start with. What do you put down on the ground first?
Okay. I suspect when they put the beds out, and Reverend Battle, you can correct me, they mowed the ground first, then they put down plant material and then the box, or did they put the box down and then plant material?
Put the box down, cardboard on the bottom.
Okay.
And then the soil.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Our soil from Heinz, so it's a mix of low and mushroom compost and half and half. Yeah, and coffee beans. That's coffee beans. Which made it nice and rich. Now in Mel's book, he has what he calls a magic mix: 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 perlite, which is what I did when I started my bed. You know, I got those big bags from one of the agricultural store, and I mixed it on a tarp and all together, and then I shoveled it into my bed. I put down cardboard, then I put down plant cloth on the bottom of mine so no weeds would grow in. Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're saying,
Compost.
Oh, compost, coffee beans, and not something else.
No, he gave you what they put in the bed, but I said I put 1/3 perlite, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 peat moss.
Now, since the ground's not the beans, sorry. Coffee ground's not the whole beans. Not beans.
What did you use the whole coffee, or was it ground?
They were beans. I mean,
They were hard beans or ones that had been used?
beans in the Heinz.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it. Yeah, you saw the big coffee days out there. You can see that stuff. You know,
Peat moss.
yeah.
Coffee grounds. Yeah, I have gone to Starbucks in the past and asked for their bag at the end of the day, about 10 o'clock at night, and they'll give you the bags, you know, and I've used that in my compost pile. Okay? So just call ahead and say, has someone called and asked to pick up your coffee grounds? And they'll say no. And you said, I'm Alice Green. I'll be there at 10 p.m. to pick them up. And they'll say, okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to get a better understanding of the raised beds, because in my research I've seen many different examples. Like I see your example is actually outside in your garden. Is it actually touching the ground in the soil?
No, it's raised.
Okay.
It's about 14 inches off the ground.
Okay.
No,
By definition, a raised bed is in contact with the native soil. If it's up off the ground for, say, wheelchair accessible, that's called an elevated bed.
Okay. So is that thank you, is that similar to the same thing, an elevated and a raised bed?
Now, the elevated is one where someone in a wheelchair can roll up to and the bed is on their level, like if they're seated. It's about this high.
But Alice,
The raise, I'm sorry?
are you asking about is the concept the same?
Yes, the concept is the same, meaning I'm seeing the advantage of a raised bed is not being in the soil, which is why I can grow on your ground as opposed to the ground freezing and then I'm losing my crops that way.
With the raised bed, because it is up above the ground, and you know the ground gets colder before anything on top of it, which remember when I said that you can garden year round because the soil warms up quicker when it's above the ground, okay?
So I can still experiment with doing it tabletop.
Yes, if you can get someone to build you one that high.
Okay.
And I tell you what, you can go over to University of Tennessee Gardens in the kitchen garden, and they have an example of one of those that's accessible for someone in a wheelchair. Yes, ma'am.
So I think, I have the same question she had, and I still don't get it. So I have a ground,
Yes.
and I have this box, 4x4 box.
Yes.
Okay, what's the first thing I put on the bottom?
Reverend Battle said that they put down cardboard first,
Okay, so,
and then you sit the frame on top of it.
Technically, it's not touching it.
Right.
But I'm just saying, the cardboard's going to decay.
yes, it's like compost.
Yeah.
So is there something else other than cardboard that you can put down?
You can use plant material. There's what they call, you can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's called, a lot of landscapers use it when they're putting down mulch. And it's literally, I wish I'd known that I would have bought a piece. But it's not plastic, it's plant material. Yeah.
I personally like to go where it's like paper, that's what we grew up doing, because it still is the same concept as the cardboard, because you can't always just find cardboard laying around, something you have to go buy, but it's cheaper you can buy anywhere, you can put it down as thick as the cardboard, but it does the same concept,
The
right?
good thing about living in our community, there's a lot of dollar stores around, and they keep the cardboard in the back.
Those big containers, yeah.
Bingo. I've done the same thing. I've used that too. I've gone to the dollar store near me and asked, can I get their cardboard? Because I use it in all my beds to start out first. It will eventually biodegrade, but it's a good barrier when you're starting out. I built mine so it's like 14 inches off the ground because I wanted to sit down. I had no saw. I knew no one with a saw to do the wood and carry that. And I have a car. I don't have a truck. So it was easier for me to order a pallet of stone from Home Depot to deliver it to my yard. And 6 blocks at a time in the wheelbarrow, I rolled them to the back. That was good weight-bearing exercise. Okay? So, but if you, one of the things that's so good about raised beds is you only concentrating on that one area, you know. So I told the guy who cuts my grass, you just cut the grass, stay away from my bed. He said, okay, we got a deal. All right? So the wire you see here is I put it there to keep the rabbits out, because they wanted to share in my garden, and I just put it over top of it. Okay, now what do all seeds and transplants need? There you go. So, watering it. One of our master gardeners is going to tell you all the ins and outs of that, but you have to water. And you want to water to the source, to the root of the plant. Okay? And those are all my watering cans. And then after you've done all of that little bit of work that you've done, you get to harvest. Collard greens are at the top. Don't they look beautiful? And they taste so good. Cucumbers, some lettuce, some radishes, some, I don't know if you can see, eggplant. I grew eggplant last year. You can try different things. Who likes Italian food? Okay, so you'll get to grow basil. Smell it and pass it down. Basil that you put in, most people put in Italian food. And back to children again, I walk my grandsons through my garden. I get them to smell and taste everything, and they love this because it tastes just like, tell me what candy it tastes like.
Childhood candy.
Chicory.
Yeah.
They love it. Plus it smells good. Take a little bit, okay? So you can get them involved in gardening just by smelling and tasting. And they love it. Okay. So any more questions? So, how many people have I converted to gardening this morning? Hey. Okay. Thank you. You've been great. Be sure to keep asking questions. My job is done.